Alright, welcome to another video. And before we get started, I'd like to take a quick minute to thank all the Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members whose names you see scrolling across the screen right now. They make this financially possible, and without you, I probably wouldn't be here making videos, so thank you. Alright, so we're flying. We've taken off just a minute ago. I've loitered around a little bit, just overhead close to home, just to get a good reading on the airspeed. You can see it's a little bit windy. We're looking at about 15 miles an hour wind. But I decided to go ahead and fly it anyway and get a few more miles on the little airplane and see where we go from there. Nothing real exciting as far as flight plan. We're just gonna kind of cruise out here. We're gonna go downwind. Mostly just because I wanted to kind of come look over the cows and stuff over this way. And then we'll fly back upwind on the way home, and it'll set up for a nice approach for landing. We'll be able to land upwind without coming in behind the antennas and stuff like that. But we'll just have to keep it in just keep it in mind that we don't have a lot of reserve battery on the way home, because we're going to be fighting that headwind on the way back. Although I do believe that if we get kind of low on the way back, we'll probably lose some of that wind. Turning off my HI there when I pan, switching back to that mode where it automatically hides it when I pan over. The sun out there on the horizon going to set pretty soon, so we probably won't stay in the air real long time or nothing like that. But yeah, you can see we're definitely crabbing into the wind quite a bit right now. We're traveling pretty much straight north and south. If I turn on my little GPS overlay there, you can see we're traveling pretty much straight north and south on the map. So we're kind of traveling in that direction, although the nose is pointed in that direction. And that's because we're in cruise mode, so we're holding a heading and fighting that crosswind right now. And you can see down on the corner of the OSD there, we're showing a 14 mile an hour crosswind. So we'll get back upwind a little bit out here, kind of in the direction where we have the antennas facing. We're going to use that wind to our advantage on the way out. It's going to be a nice little tailwind. It's going to push us pretty good. See, we're doing like 30 miles an hour in the air and 45 across the ground. So we're doing pretty good there, making some pretty good headway. So we'll fly to a point out in this direction, and then we'll get down kind of low on the way back and see if we can maybe pick up a little bit of efficiency on the way back. Kind of cheat a little bit, lose some of that wind, because I don't think it's blowing that much. There is some wind blowing on the ground, but I would say it's probably closer to, I don't know, between 5 and 10 miles an hour on the ground. It's definitely blowing stronger up here where we're flying right now. So I think if we get down low on the way back, we'll be able to make a little better headway coming back. I wanted to fly out to that same little spot about 2 miles out. That's in this kind of back corner back here that we're headed to right now. I pointed out in one of my recent videos that there's an animal trap out here that I believe is a hog trap to catch wild hogs, which is pretty common practice out here. Let me go ahead and turn off my GPS thing. Some of the people mentioned that kind of gets in the way and you'd rather see my altimeter and stuff like that. So we'll go ahead and cut that off for now. But what I was saying, I wanted to fly over this little spot right here where there's a hog trap in the woods. Kind of look down into it and see if there's anything in here. I've overflown it a few times and looked. It's actually right down off that side of the plane right there. I've never seen any animals in it. Right now I don't see any, as best I can tell. But if there is, we'll have to review that later. But as far as I can tell right now, I don't see anything in it. Maybe when we review the footage later after the flight, we'll be able to see better. And it's right in the center of the screen right now, that white circle down in the little clear lane there. I believe that's what that is as an animal trap, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't really imagine what else it would be. But, so yeah, I guess we're going to kind of head back this way. And on the way back, I'm going to start losing some altitude. And see if we can lose some of this wind. And make a little bit better time on the way back. That's what I'm going to kind of do. Well, actually, I was going to go for that little turn row out there. You can kind of see that little ditch of water. But that'll put us on a path where the shed, the big metal shop, is kind of blocking my signal. So we're actually going to go back for this other corner of the woods kind of ahead of us right now. And then we'll turn kind of east once we do that. I was hoping to lose some of this wind. We're still sitting on about 10 miles an hour, looking at the differences in my ground and airspeed. And the speed estimator on the GPS, the wind speed estimation, is still showing about 12 miles an hour. So it's probably somewhere in that range. So it may be blowing a little more than I thought. But we're still, 65 feet altitude? Once we overfly this little overgrown area here, we can get down a little bit lower out over these cleared fields. And see if we might find a little bit calmer air down here. Obviously, we don't want to get too low to the point where we start losing video and RC link. But should we do that, should we lose the link, all we got to do is fly straight up and climb ahead, which is my default return to home procedure anyway. And we would quickly just regain the link, be able to fly right back home anyway. So we seem to be getting a little bit smoother air down here. Well, maybe not necessarily smooth. It's still rocking the wings quite a bit. Feels kind of rough, but it's showing 11 miles an hour now. And my speed differences in the two, ground and air speed, is about 10 miles an hour. That's better than the 15 mile an hour tailwind we had on the way out. I was hoping it would be a little bit closer to calm down here. I was hoping for about 5 miles an hour or less down here, but unfortunately that's not the case. That was the forecasted wind speeds for this afternoon, but unfortunately that didn't turn into reality. So we'll just fly back down this lane right here. Maybe lose a little bit more altitude. Fly through here on the way back. I was actually going to do some low-level flying out here that was kind of in the plan for the trip home, but it's a little rougher than I like, and I'm going to be happy with this. Do too much lower than we are already. Go ahead and gain a little bit of altitude, make sure we clear this fence. And we caught a nice little gust of wind there. So once we clear that fence, we can get back down low and we'll skim the top of these plants out here. I'm not sure what this is. It's some kind of cover crop they planted out here for the winter. And they have a lot of all this white flowers on the tops. And actually the wind is really rough down here. A lot more than I was expecting. This is just the autopilot flying right now. I'm flying hands off. Actually, we're kind of getting a little bit lower than I would like. Gonna gain a little bit of altitude, make sure we don't catch a nasty little gust of wind and end up catching some of these taller plants out here. But the wind is showing a little bit less down here, about 8.5 miles an hour. But it's really rough, really turbulent, a lot more so than I would like. We've burned 717 milliamp hours on the battery. Cruising nice and efficiently. Even fighting this headwind, we're pulling about 130 milliamp hours per mile, thereabout. Flying at about 3.5 amps. cruising anyway. That's another thing I did too. I limited the max throttle that the autopilot is going to command to 85%. So I noticed running this different motor and prop, it's a lot more powerful than the stock power setup was. And then it pulled more amps than I liked. It actually sagged the battery quite a bit while taking off using 100% throttle. So I limited that to 85%, which pulls about 20 amps. And the voltage sags a little bit less during takeoff. And it's going to do the same. It'll also limit if I pull full up elevator right now and climb. It's only going to aim for its target climb rate, which I forget what I set up in the flight controller, but you see it's only actually requesting about 55% or so. It's the maximum I've seen. There's almost 60 there. But it just doesn't need that much power. 85% is probably still a little bit overkill for the takeoff. I could probably limit it even more. But for now, that's fine. So what we'll do here, I'll go ahead and climb a little bit. I just want to run up to about 400 or so feet and just kind of get a little bit of a comparison, see what the wind's doing up here. So the wind speed estimate on the OSD is getting back up. We're at 14 miles an hour right now. And there's 400 feet. So we're going to level off there. And yeah, we're right back up to 15 miles an hour. The air is actually a lot smoother up here though, which is a good thing. I guess we could have maybe flown kind of southwest into that wind. Maybe made a run out there and then had a tailwind on the way back. But there's really nothing to fly out there for right now. Nothing of interest. And I don't know, I just wanted to fly. I had a battery charged up. It's like I said, the wind was actually supposed to be a lot more calm today, according to the forecast, but so I was going to fly. I was actually going to run out here and do some low-level stuff close to the shed and the cows and stuff out there. Just going to play around out there a little bit, but like I said, with that turbulent air down low, I don't like to risk it too much down there. Kind of catch a nasty gust of wind. It'll push us into the ground, catch some of the stuff in the field, or maybe a fence or something like that. So we're just going to kind of tool around up here a little bit and then get it back on the ground and call it quits. Like I said in the last video, I'm kind of looking for motivation, ideas, something to do. There was a few good ideas that I like. Several people left some different ideas. I haven't really settled on anything yet, but we're going to start working on something different soon, whether it be a different airplane or something different with this one, or I don't know. We'll find something. So I'm actually going to go back to fly-by-wire and cut the power and start gliding home. And depending on what the stall speed is on this little plane, I may actually be able to slow it to a crawl up here. My ground speed right now is below 5 miles an hour. There's 3, 4, and it's starting to wallow a bit. It's about to stall. I'm holding full up elevator right now, but the way I have the autopilot set up, it won't allow it to stall. So yeah, we could slow it down to around 3 or so. I could probably do it in manual mode. Manual. So that we don't have the autopilot fighting us. We can actually pull it into a stall. I'm not sure this little plane will stall. It's kind of wallowing around a bit right now, but I'm still riding full up elevator. And I still have full roll control, and it just kind of bobs the nose a bit. So yeah, that 3.5 or so miles an hour was about the lowest we were able to get. So we're going to let it descend here. Going to go back to fly-by-wire. Fly-by-wire A. So we get that stabilization, and we'll continue this glide. We're on a good path for a nice landing. Going to carry a little bit of power through just to extend my glide and get a nice smooth flare out here on the runway. And that's going to be the end of the flight. Manual. So we'll go ahead and disarm. Disarmed. And we'll stop the recording here. So, I don't know. I guess keep an eye out for what's to come. Still not sure what we're going to be doing next, but it'll be something different. So, I guess any more ideas? If you haven't commented on the last one, comment on this video. Maybe we'll I'll see something I like and I'll go in that direction, or I'll figure something out myself. So anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll see where we go from here.